Today is Silence Day for all of us. We shall go into the depth of silence today, explore silence, and gain experience of silence. What is silence? Silence is not merely absence of noise. Usually, people consider silence to be absence of noise. When people are talking too much, or there's a lot of chatting going on, people are talking loudly, and there is need for them to keep quiet. It is said, be silent. In some places it is written silent zone, where you are not allowed to talk, not allowed to blow any horn of the car. It's a silence zone. So usually silence is considered as absence of sound or absence of noise. But we know that silence is not merely that. It is not absence of something, but it is the presence of something. Just like for peace, people usually describe it as the absence of war. They say peace means absence of war. But then we tell them it's not merely absence of war, because if war begins in the mind of man, and then it comes on the battlefield. No war comes on the battlefield just like that. First it comes in the mind of the president of a country, or maybe the head of the state, or the head of the army, whoever. It comes in his mind that I must go for war. And then it comes on the battlefield, or it comes in action. So just as war begins in the minds of men before it comes on the battlefield, so too we say peace comes in the mind before it comes in action, before it is experienced. Yes, it's the mind which experiences it, but first it has to come in the thoughts before it is experienced. Because only when you think about something, you experience that. And therefore the saying goes, as you think, so you become. If in your mind the thought is that I am very peaceless, then no one in the world can make you peaceful. But if in your mind there is the thought, I am a peaceful soul, then no one in the world can make you peaceless. No one. And therefore the saying goes, as you think, so you become. So just as peace is not absence of war, so too silence is not absence of sound. Peace is a very big power, it's a strength, it's an energy. Just as for physical energy, we say this light energy, heat energy. Heat is energy, light is energy. It is lessening or increasing of that energy. If that energy reduces, then it is the opposite of that. For example, if light reduces, that means darkness comes. So darkness could be described as absence of light. Cold could be described as absence of heat. But light cannot be described as absence of darkness. Or heat cannot be described as absence of cold. Because cold is nothing but the reduction or the reducing of the heat, and darkness is reducing of the light. So light is energy. Darkness or cold is not energy. It's the absence. Why light is energy? Because it has a source. Heat is energy because it has a source. But cold or darkness does not have any source. Heat is emanated from any object. And if that heat is reduced, then you feel it cold. So just as we talk about these physical energies, similarly, we can talk about spiritual energy. And silence is a very big energy. Silence is, they say, golden. Speech is silver. Silence is given much more value than speech. Very often, if you remain silent, you can finish off so many quarrels and disputes and battles and wars. But maybe one sound, one act, one word can result in big quarrels and disputes and battles and wars. Just one word. There is the story of the Mahabharata, that in the Mahabharata they show Pandavas and the Kauravas. Baba mentions in the Murlis. The Kauravas were ruling. They did not give the rule to the Pandavas, though it was the right of the Pandavas to rule. They were cousins. But the Kauravas, they took it by cheating. They took the kingdom. And they refused to give the kingdom to the Pandavas. But the Pandavas were very satisfied, very happy. Okay, don't give, never mind. They were in their own palace, staying very peacefully. They didn't want to go for a war against the Kauravas. That's the story. But then they were asking for their rights, definitely. And then one day, Duryodhana, the head of the Kauravas, the eldest brother of the Kauravas, he went in the palace of the Pandavas. They were cousin brothers. And the palace of the Pandavas was a beautiful palace. It was all, mirrors around, even on the floor. It was so clean. They were like glass floors. But Duryodhana did not realize that that was glass. So he felt that it was water, maybe a pool of water, some pond. And he took off his shirt and wanted to take a dip in that pond, just to swim. And Draupadi, the wife of the Pandavas, as they show, she looked at him and saw him that he's wanting to take a dip, like a bath or maybe a swim in the pond. But it was glass, it wasn't water at all, but it seemed like water from above. So Duryodhana thought it's water. And Draupadi knew it's not water, it's glass. So she began to laugh, she mocked at him. She told him, "Oh, you blind man, can't you see that this is not water, it is glass?" His father was blind. He was ruling at that time. And Duryodhana was supposed to get the kingdom, so he did not want the Pandavas to get it. So, "Oh, you blind son of the blind, can't you see that this is not water?" Immediately Duryodhana got so wild. "You are calling me blind? Okay, I will take revenge." And immediately, because of that anger, he said, "I will go against a war against these Pandavas, and I will kill them all." And he said, "Let there be a battle, a war." Otherwise, everything was peaceful. But because Draupadi said it, "Oh, you son of the blind," it was like she said it. Of course, she hated them, definitely. But then that word blind affected him. It went like an arrow, it pierced him. And the anger erupted, and he wanted to take revenge. Had she not spoken that word, "Oh, blind man," maybe the Mahabharata war would not have taken place. That's what the story is. But that one word, blind, which she spoke, that hurt his feelings, and he took the revenge. But eventually they show how all the Kauravas perished and the Pandavas won and they got heaven. So Baba says, it is better to keep silent than to say something which is not appropriate, which may hurt someone else's feelings. And therefore the word is, they say the sentence is, silence is golden, speech is silver. Speech is less precious than silence. Silver is less expensive than gold. In Hindi there's a very beautiful saying, "Ek chup sau sukh," which means just one moment of silence, with not say a word, will give you 100 times happiness than one word uttered which you should not have uttered. Very often we say something and then we regret for having said it. We often say to ourselves, "Oh, why did I say it?" And then however many times you may say sorry to that person. "I'm so sorry I told you this. I didn't really mean it. Please forgive me. I'm very sorry." But it is said, just like these lips, they are considered to be like the bow. And the words we speak are like the arrow. The lips, how are they shaped? They are shaped in the form of a bow. Have you noticed? A bow, like this. So, and the words spoken are like the arrows. And there's also a saying, golden words are never repeated. That's also a very interesting saying. Something which is very precious and that's spoken. You can't repeat it. Once spoken means finished. Similarly, anything wrong spoken, it's like an arrow coming out of the bow, and once it's out from the bow, it can't come back. Can that word come back once it is out of the lips? It can't come back. And therefore Baba says you have to be very careful. You should not say anything which should not be spoken. It's better to be silent. So in that way, when we say silence, definitely it means absence of words, absence of sound. But just silence externally is not a big thing. Because inside the mind, if there are too many thoughts going on, then a day may come when you will say out what you should not have said. That is why they say, watch your thoughts, for they become words. If you are thinking of something but not maybe saying it, but a day will come, unknowingly also you will say it. Maybe you wouldn't even come to know at that time that you are saying it, because it has been in your mind for a long time. But you were avoiding to say it. You were trying to keep quiet, not say, not say. But the mind was thinking all the time about it. Then a day will come when your lips will deceive you. You will say it out. So if you don't want to say it at all, then you must not allow that thought also to come in your mind. Therefore the saying goes, watch your thoughts, for they become words. Some people talk a lot, but then they don't do it in action. They don't bring it into action. But be careful. A day will come when they will bring into action if they are speaking again and again about it. Somebody may say, oh, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die. Whole day he's saying the same thing. And people say, oh, he's always saying he will not do anything. But be careful, one day he'll do it. So we have to be very careful what you're saying, because definitely that action will happen one day. It's like you have a big piece of rock and you're hammering it, it's very strong, but you hammer it at the same place. Ultimately what will happen? It will definitely break. Yeah, if you hit at other places, maybe that rock or boulder or won't break because it's very strong. But if you hit at the same place, a time will come when it will break. That's why they say that if you want to bore, a well, then you should not do it little by little. Don't do it some here, little there, little there, little there. You will never be able to create a well. If you want a well, if you want water from underneath, you have to drill in the same place. You have to drill it very deep and deep and deep in the same place. Only then you will get the water from underneath. But if you drill maybe a few meters and then stop there and start drilling somewhere else and leave that and start drilling somewhere else, what will happen? You'll be only wasting your time, your money and your energy. You will not be able to get the water. So you have to go into one place and go into its depth, and then you'll be able to get the water from underneath. A rolling stone gathers no moss. There's a saying. That's another very interesting saying. A stone which is rolling all the time, it will never become heavy, never. It will keep rolling and rolling and rolling and then ultimately lose its very existence. But if it is in one place, going into one place, it will gather moss, it will become stronger. Maybe it will become heavier. It will become more powerful. So when you have one powerful thought, it's important that you go into the depth of that powerful thought. And if it's a powerful thought of silence, then you go into the depth of that powerful thought. I am a soul in the world of silence, experiencing total silence. It is not just absence of thoughts. It is the presence of a power of silence. So let us Now experience it for a while, for about 10 minutes, and then we will explore more about silence. Okay? So silence is not merely absence of sound. It is the power of the soul. Silence is not merely absence of thoughts. It is the presence of the power of thoughts, of silence. I'm a soul. In the world of silence. I go into the depth of silence, which is like an ocean. The soul experiences total freedom in silence. The power of silence is deep within the soul. The mind is very peaceful. when the soul is in silence. It is beyond the pull of matter. Beyond the pull of any physical attractions. Even beyond the pull of physical sounds. It is absolute silence. I experience complete silence all around me. I'm able to radiate waves of silence, vibrations of silence. I'm totally tranquil. Completely satisfied. Free of any desires. Free of any negativity. I go deep into my own self. I am a peaceful soul. The mind is able to absorb the power of silence. And also radiate it in the atmosphere. I experience complete satisfaction. I am full. Filled completely. Silence makes me strong. Silence makes me light. Silence gives the experience of purity and divinity. I am a pure soul, a divine soul. I'm the master of my senses. I am a self-sovereign. Om Shanti. In the state of silence, you can invoke any power you wish to. The power of discretion becomes very clear because there are not too many thoughts coming in the mind. As Baba says, you become the master and invoke that power which is necessary at that particular time. Maybe you need to tolerate. So invoke the power of tolerance in the stage of silence. Because when I'm in my stage of silence, I'm having only the right thoughts. And therefore it's very easy to invoke any power I wish to experience. Supposing someone tells me something which is like an insult for me, which I don't like, which is maybe against my feelings. I could feel hurt. But at that moment, I'm able to tolerate. Maybe I tell myself, well, in what way did it affect me? I know what I am. I have my self-respect. So in silence, I'm able to maintain my self-respect. There is no ego. Usually I feel hurt when I have arrogance or ego. But when I have self-respect, then I'm not hurt. I tell myself, I'm a loving soul. No matter what he says, but I have to continue to love him. I don't have to ask anything from him. I have to only give, as I am a generous soul. I'm a bestower soul. So I have my self-respect. I know what my values are, and therefore I'm able to give generously, and therefore I don't feel hurt. Usually someone feels hurt when he doesn't realize that he has to give. He thinks that he has to take, and the other one did not give him respect, which he should have. So the thought of asking or wanting respect makes him feel hurt. But if I am a generous soul, I'm a bestower, I'm a loving soul, then however much the other person may insult me, but I won't feel the insult. Because the thought is I have to give, not to receive or to take. In giving there is more happiness than in receiving. That is my consciousness. But that will be felt only when my mind is silent. If I have questions, why is he behaving like that? Why is he doing like that? What does he think of himself? Don't I know what I am? Shouldn't he do in a better way? That means I'm not in a state of silence. And these waste thoughts will waste my energy, waste my time, waste even my treasure of peace. I will not be able to invoke the power of tolerance, and that power will not come even if I say that I should have tolerance. Just by saying, I should have tolerance, I should have tolerance, I should tolerate, that won't do. I should tolerate, that's not the right method. But I am that, not that I should, I am. I am a generous soul, I am a bestower, I am a loving soul, I have a big heart, I can accommodate. Immediately I become tolerant. Sometimes I don't have to tolerate, I have to face. It's a situation, it's not a person. Where it's a situation that has to be faced, not tolerated. When it's a person, you tolerate. But when it's a situation, you face it. Because that situation will come and go. No situation stays forever. But I can be a detached observer and face it. So tolerating means when I'm giving away the generosity, the love, the happiness. And facing is as a detached observer, being unaffected by that situation. Come what may, even if it's a good thing or a bad thing, both are transitory, both are temporary. Nothing lasts forever. Even the happiness is not going to last forever. The sorrow also won't last forever, just like we know the cycle. Baba says, yes, 3/4 happiness, 1/4 sorrow. You will value the happiness only if you have sorrow. No? Otherwise you won't even value happiness. So this is a cycle. But then whether it's happiness or sorrow, I can be a detached observer and observe, because the situation will pass. It won't stay on. I don't have to hold it. I can't hold it even if I wish to. There's a very interesting story on this. The story goes that once someone came to a king, there was a king, and someone came to him and said, I have something very valuable to give you. You must treasure it, but don't open it now. Open it only when you are facing a very difficult situation. Open it only when you can't handle that situation. Open this gift at that moment. Don't open it otherwise. Keep it safe with you. Keep it always with you. He gave him a locket and told him, keep it inside this locket around your neck. It will protect you. It will help you. So he took that thing. It was packed. It was like a packet, a small gift, and he put it around his neck. Like a what do you call it? Pendant, yeah. And it was like inside that pendant. And he said, don't open it otherwise. So what happened was that he was attacked by another king. The neighboring king attacked his kingdom. And this king had to run for his life because they had attacked even the castle or the palace. So his soldiers took him away into a big cave where he could be safe. And he stood in that cave with a few of his soldiers who were protecting him. And that king had attacked his kingdom. And they didn't find the king in the palace. And they were looking for the king because it could be considered, conquered only when the king was conquered. The king was captured. So the king wasn't there in the palace. And the soldiers of the other king who had attacked were looking for him. And they even entered that cave where he was hiding. So it was a very, very difficult situation for him to control himself. He was hiding. And that time he remembered that pendant, which was around his neck. And he opened it. And when he opened it, there were a few words written on that, inside that pendant, on a piece of paper. The words were, "Even this shall pass away. Even this shall pass away." That means, don't be worried. Don't be afraid. Don't be hesitant. This will pass away. This will pass away. And he began to tell himself, this will pass away, this will pass away, this will pass away. And that gave him a lot of comfort. And the soldiers of his enemy, they looked around, but couldn't find the king. And they went away, looking for the king elsewhere. In the meantime, his soldiers, they became strong and they knew that his king was very much under protection. So they retaliated and fought back with the enemy soldiers and ultimately drove away the soldiers of this enemy away from their kingdom, and the kingdom was saved. The king was saved. The kingdom was saved. The enemy could not conquer it. And then the king was given the information that the enemy is gone back. Now you can come back to your palace. Well, that paper which he had, he put it back in the pendant and it was around his neck. So when he went back, his soldiers began to rejoice and all the trumpets were blown in honor of the king because long live the king, that he's back, he's saved, and the country is saved and so on. So everyone started shouting slogans of happiness and joy. And this really overwhelmed the king. He was so happy, so happy. But then that was again a moment of trial. He again opened his pendant. And he said to himself, even this will pass away. Means even these moments of happiness, moments of joy, moments of, great rejoice, even they will pass away. And in spite of everybody's rejoicing, he was in that state of equanimity. So as Baba says, in praise or defamation, in happiness or sorrow, in cold or heat, winter or summer, all these opposites will come in the world. Because in this world, everything is relative. Nothing is absolute. So seeing all the opposites of this world, you should not be affected. And therefore, he read that saying in that pendant once again, even this will pass away. So in spite of all that joy and happiness, he remained as a detached observer and went back to his kingdom. And he felt as if nothing had happened, because it's like a wave comes and wave passes away. You stand at the seashore and the wave comes. But you know that this wave is not going to stay there, it's going to go back. You are very much safe. Similarly, Baba says, in the stage of silence, you experience your original stage as an eternal, immortal, imperishable, indivisible, invisible, pure, peaceful, loving, detached, free soul. So, in that state of silence, I experience myself to be in that state of elevated consciousness. And therefore, I remain unaffected by these different waves which come. That's the stage of a yogi. Baba says, if the stage is fluctuating, one moment great joy, the next moment great sorrow, the third moment laughing loudly, and the fourth moment crying also loudly. Usually people cry also loudly, you know. Some cry very softly, some cry loudly. Some laugh softly, some laugh loudly. These are different moods. One moment very happy, the next moment sulky. Baba says that's not the stage of a yogi. That's not the stage of the one who is in silence, who's experiencing the power of silence. That power of silence has so much depth. You know, you must have seen the different dolls. There's a doll which has a center of gravity at the bottom. It's heavy at the bottom and light at the top. There are certain dolls. So even if you shake that doll, as much as you shake, you may feel, yes, it will fall down, but it doesn't fall down. It comes back. You shake it and pull it, push it that side, it will again come back. It will never fall down because the center of gravity is at the bottom. But if there is something which does not have a strong center of gravity at the bottom, it's heavy at the top and light at the bottom maybe, then it will fall off very easily. So Baba says that when I am in my stage of equanimity, in the stage of silence, then let any scene pass by, I remain unaffected. Sometimes Baba says, children are attracted by sight scenes. Even Baba said in the latest Murli. So sight scenes should not attract me. If I'm in my state of silence, then no sight scenes will attract me because I'm full. I will not fall on either side. If I'm attracted by a sight scene here, it's a side scene, means falling on the side. I'm pulled by that scene or by people or objects or situations, or I'm pulled by this side. That means I'm not in a state of equilibrium. And therefore Baba says, don't look on the sides. Don't also look behind, but look only in the front. So that's what we have to in the state of silence. Just Baba, my home, and the new world. Okay? So let us experience it again. The next half hour. We will experience the depth of silence. Where I am in a stage of equanimity. unaffected by the opposites of this world. A stage of a detached observer. Where I look only ahead of me, neither I look on my sides, nor do I look behind. I look only in the front. And in this elevated stage of silence, I reach my home, the world of silence. That is where I have to return. In my eyes, I see my home and the new world only. I see Brahma Baba in the subtle regions. So loving and yet completely detached. I have to follow the Father. I have to return home. In the state of silence, I'm able to experience my home. The world of silence. am with Baba and none other. Baba, my soul companion. My true protector. My supreme guide is taking me across. Back home. To the state of liberation. I experience liberation in silence. I'm able to let go anything unnecessary, anything unwanted. Anything which I did not bring with me, I shall not take back. I brought with me only a peaceful mind, a divine intellect, and pure thoughts, pure sanskars. I shall take back only that with me. In silence, I can experience how many treasures I have. I have the treasure of such deep spiritual knowledge. My third eye of wisdom has opened. I'm able to visualize the three aspects of time. I have finished off all my limits. I am in my unlimited stage.